Hello and welcome to Statistics. I am your instructor, Scott Doherty, and in this video I'm just going to give you a brief introduction into my math lab. So in my math lab you'll have these buttons on the left hand side, and I'm just going to go over briefly what they do. You won't see the Manage Course button or the Instructor Tools button. I'm only going to see that on my end. The first button you'll see is the Announcements button, and under there you can just see any announcement that I posted throughout the course. This will be my main way of communicating, and when I make an announcement, it will be sent to the email address that you registered, that you put in to my math lab when you registered for my math lab. The next button here is the orientation button. This is a document that you should just read through. I'm just going to highlight some of the important points here. First thing is you must take the orientation quiz before the official day. Now I'm making this class for my fall 2023 class, and so this shows the date for the orientation quiz for that class. If you're in a future class, just make sure you check the due date. It'll be the official day, whatever that day is. If you don't take the orientation quiz before that official day, whatever it is for your class, then I have to drop you from the course. And I'll show you how to get to that. This just kind of briefly explains some of the buttons in my math lab. I'll let you read through some of this. In terms of contacting me, I have my cell phone number if you want to send me a text, or my email address. Probably the main way people contact me is through email, and I check my email fairly often. Sometimes I don't have my cell phone with me, so I don't quite text as much, but you can also text me if you want. A TI-84 calculator is required for the class, so make sure you get one of those. And then in terms of exams and testing, I'll show you how to get to that. But when you take a test, you have to use the Pearson Lockdown browser. And I'll show you how to download it if you haven't done that yet. If you haven't downloaded the Pearson Lockdown browser, you'll have to do that before you take a test. And this shows you the procedure for doing that. I will show you how to do that when we get to it. And then when you go to take a test, you do have to enter a password, and I'll show you how to do that when you click on the test. You'll have to enter a password, and the passwords for the test are given here, and it's essentially the name of the test. Okay, so I'll let you read through most of that, but I just want to highlight some of the points there that you need to definitely look at. Then I have this orientation video, which you're watching now, so that's a link to it there. The syllabus contains a lot of good information. You can read through it. I'm just going to highlight some important points here. We do have tutoring available online or in person, and there's some information about that in the syllabus and some links you can look at here to get more information about that. I also have registration information for my math lab if you haven't done that yet in the syllabus. If you run into any problems in my math lab that require some technical support, there's a link here that you can use. Then this also covers the evaluation of the class. In terms of your grades, homework in my math lab is 20%. We're going to have 4 tests, which count for 60% of your overall score, and then there's a comprehensive final exam, which is the remaining 20%. Last day you can withdraw from the course will be posted in the syllabus for the class that I'm for fall of 2023. That will be November 13th. If you're in a future class, you should check that withdrawal date. Then there's just some other information here that you might want to look at. This includes any disability services information that you might need, things like that. So you can read through the rest of the syllabus to get more details. The next button is the calendar button, the My Math Lab calendar button. You can see here, this is the month of August. Again, this is for my 2023 class, fall of 2023 class. This icon means I've posted an announcement on this day, and if you click on that icon, you can see the announcement below. And if you scroll through to the next month, you can also see that you have these little circle icons. That's the due date for homework, and you can see that here at the bottom. It doesn't show the test is also due on that day, but this little diamond green icon indicates that there's a test due, and you can see that all these are due on the same day. So the circle is the homework, and the little diamond icon is the test. And then the box here, the orange box, is the quiz and also the final. So you can see that the quiz is due for this particular class on the 10th, but check it for your class if it's in the future. The due date might be different. Okay, so I'll let you look through that. I'll just mention again that this little orange box is the due date for the orientation quiz, but it's also the due date for the final exam for the class. And then I have my own calendar that I made up outside of my math lab, which I've sort of put in a PDF and then attached to my math lab. Now, the thing about this calendar is it shows all the different sections for the homework. These are just what I would call soft due dates for the homework. It's just kind of a guide for you to sort of keep up with the class. So, chapter 1 homework here, I have 1-1, 1-2, and 1-3 on these particular days. Those aren't the due dates in my math lab. So the actual due date will be, for this class, September 27th, which is the date of the first test. So once you get all the homework done before the test. These dates are just sort of dates as a guide to see if you're keeping up with the material, so you don't have to do everything at the last minute. And then also have a date for the practice test. Again, that is just a soft due date. It's a suggested date that you kind of take the practice test. The practice test is not graded, and so I'll show you that when we get to it. But the due dates here for the test are hard due dates. So after September 27th, for this particular class, you will not be able to take test 1 again. And that includes the final, which is on December 14th in this particular case, for this class. The next button is the WebEx lecture button. I've posted all the lectures for this class, the recorded WebEx lectures. So the idea is you would watch the video for, say, chapter 1 here, and then you would start on the homework for chapter 1. And this contains all the videos that you'll need to look at for the test, for the homework, sorry. The next button is homework video button, where I have a YouTube channel where I've done some of the homework, and you can check that out. I haven't done all the homework problems, but if you want, you can look at it and see which ones I've done, and if you need to, you can watch a video on one of the homeworks I have there. Of course, the next button is the assignments button. This is where you'll pull up all the assignments, including the orientation quiz. So that'll be the first assignment that you need to take care of. And then all the homework. And then at the very bottom of the homework, you'll see this is where you'll access the tests. So let me pull up a homework just to show you a couple of things there. When you pull up the homework problem, this will show all the questions for the homework, and you can sort of click on the one you want to work on. And by the way, when you get a homework problem wrong, you can redo the problem, and there will be no penalty for getting it wrong the first time. As long as you get it right at some point, you'll get credit for it. And you have these learning aids at the bottom. There's the Help Me Solve This button, which will go through this exact problem and ask you to enter in some answers as it goes step by step through the problem. And as long as you get all the answers correct, including the final one, then you'll get credit for the problem. Whereas View an Example will go through a similar problem like this where the numbers have changed, and it'll show you all the different answers, including the final answer. But then, of course, you'll have to go back and actually work out the problem yourself. And then the Get More Help button has several options. It'll pull up a MyMathLab video about this problem. You can read about this particular material from the textbook. There's also the StatCrunch, which is a software program that is useful in statistics. We're not going to be officially using that program in this class, but if you want to look at it, that's an optional thing you can look at. And then there's also this Tech Help button. When you pull up the Tech Help button, it pulls up all these different statistical software programs that are useful for a stats class, but we're focusing in on using the graphing calculator, and that's probably the one you're going to look at. And when you pull this up, you get all these different videos about different topics with regards to using the calculator. So you can, look at, like, the very first one is like the basics of using the TI-84 or 83 calculator. It's all broken down by topic, though. Okay. Then the other thing is at the very bottom of this Get More Help button, you can click on Ask My Instructor, and that will send the problem to me in an email, and then you can ask me a question or make comments about the problem in the email. The nice thing about that is I will have the exact problem that you're working on with the same numbers that you have, and it's much easier to communicate if I know sort of what your problem looks like when you ask a question about it. So that's a good way of getting help through email. Okay, so going back to the assignments button, let me just show you what the test will look like. Or in fact, let me show you when you pull up the orientation quiz, the very first thing that you need to do. This is where you will be prompted to download the Pearson Lockdown browser if you haven't downloaded it yet. So in order to take the quiz or any of the tests, you will have to have the Lockdown browser. So you'll have to download it first, and you'll just click on this button to download it. And then once it's downloaded, then this will allow you to take the quiz. Now, there's no password for the quiz, and the quiz is not graded, but you do have to take the quiz before the official date. Otherwise, you'll be dropped from the course. Okay, so it's not graded, but you do have to take it before the due date. Otherwise, you'll be dropped from the course. Now, with respect to the tests, when you click on a test, you will be prompted for the password that I mentioned earlier. The tests are timed. You get one attempt on each test. And of course, you have to have the Lockdown browser downloaded before you can take the test. And then the practice exams are not graded. You can see you have an unlimited number of attempts on the practice exam. So just make sure you look at that before you take the test. But of course, it's not graded, so you can use that however you think it's helpful for you in preparing for the test. You can see these are the time limits on each of the different tests, 120 minutes on most of them, and then the final exam here is 180 minutes. And these, of course, are the due dates for the individual assignments on the left-hand side. The next button is a student gradebook button. This, of course, is where you can see a breakdown of your grades. If you press on this calculation button, it will pull up each individual category. So your homework, which is 20 points, and this will show you the score that you currently have. So let's say you have like a 50%. 50% of 20 is 10, and so that will show you that over here that you've earned 10 of the 20 points if that were 50%. And then, of course, the tests. The quiz button, unfortunately, I couldn't change it to say final exam. Final exam is actually the box. Quiz is not graded, so this actually should say final exam, but there's no way to change it in the grade book in my math lab. So you just have to remember that this quiz button, which is the box, is actually the final exam, which is also worth 20 points or 20% of your grade. Again, the orientation quiz is not graded. You do have to take it, of course, if you want to stay in the class before the official day. And then the next button is just a PDF of all the different formulas and tables that we use in statistics. So that's a good reference. This is the StatCrunch program that I mentioned, which is optional. This is an optional software program that you can look at. It mimics the graphing calculator, but we're not using it officially, so that's something that you could just look at on your own if you want. Don't worry about the data sets. We're not using that, or the study plan. That's an optional thing you can look at. And then if you click on the video and resource library, this is a place where you can pull up different things in my math lab. So you can search for them by chapter and section. Probably the things that you're going to want to look at the most here are, I do have these section video lectures in my math lab. These are different from the WebEx lectures. These are actually made by my math lab, so you can look at those if you want. And then there's also some videos on the technology videos that I pulled up earlier, if you want to pull up those. Of course, when you pull these up, it'll show you all the different options. Again, we're only focused on using the TI-83 and 84 calculator. But if you're looking into using StatCrunch or Excel, there's videos on those as well. There's also PowerPoints that you can pull up here. And then I guess if you want, you can also pull up the individual StatCrunch videos if you're curious about those. But I think mostly here you're going to be pulling up the tech videos or maybe the section video lectures from my math lab. Okay, the next button is the Accessible Resources button. Under here, you'll just find like I mentioned, the PowerPoint slides, and then video transcripts if you need transcripts from any of the videos. And then this is also a place where you can access the textbook, the electronic book, which, by the way, you can also access under this button here. And it's just broken down by chapter. Okay, so that's just kind of a quick overview of the different buttons in my math lab. Of course, if you have any questions about anything, you can email me or text me. But again, the first thing assignment that you need to work on is making sure you get the orientation quiz taken before the official day. And then after that, kind of the way I want you to proceed through the class is to probably watch the WebEx lectures first, and then you can proceed to sort of start working on the homework and use the learning aids as you work through the homework. And then once you've completed all the homework, you can take the practice test and use that to see where you're at. And then eventually, once you feel like you're ready to take the test, then of course you can go ahead and take the test, but make sure you've downloaded the lockdown browser first. And then you'll need the password to access the tests. Okay, so if you have any questions, just please let me know, email me or text me, and I'll help you out. So then otherwise, I hope you have a good semester, and just make sure to reach out to me if you need any help. Okay, bye.